Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a super fascinating look at the architecture of our spiritual evolution in this new explainer. And right off the bat, you'll notice the vibe here in our visuals. Vibrant colors, detailed, serene backgrounds, and totally grounded. We're keeping things light and approachable. If you've ever felt that restless search for meaning in your everyday life, the source material we're exploring today maps out exactly why that happens. We're bringing some very high-level metaphysical concepts down to earth, and we're going to see how our ordinary, everyday reality completely mirrors the profound arc of the soul. Okay, let's dive into this.
So here is our chronological map for today. 1. The descent into form. 2. Navigating the soul school. 3. The crucible of karma. 4. Aligning with your dharma. And 5. The glorious return. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, The Descent into Form, subtitled, Leaving the White Fire Body. To understand where we're going, we really have to look at where we begin, right? At the highest level, the soul starts as an individualized spark. It's pure being, totally without the weight of a story. Before you descend into the world, a solar blueprint is established. Think of this as the ultimate, idealized version of your high-vibration mission. But to navigate the denser frequencies of the material world, your pure soul, your solar blueprint, has to put on some layers. First, there's the mental sheath, which is basically your strategy layer to understand logic. Second, the emotional sheath, your vibe layer to feel intensity. Third, the memory body, which acts as the ledger storing every pattern. And finally, the physical temple, the anchor. It's literally just like an ordinary 25-year-old waking up and putting on normal clothes to step out into a normal day. That is exactly what the soul is doing here. It's essentially a metaphysical morning routine, equipping itself in everyday layers to do the heavy lifting of its physical mission. Moving right along to Section 2, Navigating the Soul School, or as it's subtitled, The Classroom of Cause and Effect.
So once we're fully clothed in our physical and energetic bodies, we enter the material plane. And the moment we are embodied, we experience what our sources call questing. It's that restless, holy urge to find a spiritual home. Have you ever felt a deep craving for purpose that you just couldn't quite explain? Yeah, that is the questing impulse kicking in. And that brings us to a concept that gets misunderstood all the time. Our source material notes that karma is not a punishment, but the pedagogy of the soul school. So the absolute crucial point here is that karma isn't some form of cosmic retribution waiting to strike you down. No way. It's simply the law of energy, ensuring every action returns to you for learning. It is your personal teacher designed exclusively to refine your wisdom.
Now we hit the messy part. Section 3, The Crucible of Karma, the messy middle of human experience. Midway through our journey, that initial questing deepens. We transition from being just students into what's called spiritual warriors. We're no longer just absorbing lessons, we are actively navigating the material world. And as a spiritual warrior, you start encountering karmic seeds. Now, what are those? Well, they're energetic imprints and ancestral patterns stored in your memory body that actually manifest as life challenges. But here's the thing, they aren't roadblocks, they're actually opportunities. The spiritual warrior uses the sacred fire, think of it as a deep, purifying inner spark, to identify old knots of trauma and transmute them. It's this beautiful inside-out purification process where you basically release the emotional charge of past actions to clear the way for your higher mission. At first, we're all pretty much driven by lower frequency motivations. Our socialized emotional reactions, like the instinct to seek revenge or spiral into self-pity when things go wrong. But as we mature, we develop spirit-activated virtues. By establishing a witness layer, you don't blindly react to trauma anymore. You observe it. You establish a layer of regulation that allows you to consciously choose a divine feeling rather than just a reactive one, effectively burning up that karmic debt. It is a real game changer.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, Aligning with your dharma, activating your solar blueprint.
As the density of all that karma clears out, something truly magical happens. The illumination of your higher mind kicks in, and your specific mission becomes visible. This is our dharma, the deeper alignment. It's your soul's very specific purpose for this current incarnation. When you align with your dharma, you realize you aren't just here to survive the daily grind. You are here to anchor a specific frequency, something like justice, healing, or wisdom, into reality. And by doing so, you actually transform your daily routine into a mobile sanctuary that naturally neutralizes the emotional loneliness of the people around you. Now, what's really fascinating about this alignment is a very specific number mentioned in our sources, 808. Once you finally commit to your dharma, reality literally shifts.
Divine grace manifests as kinetic support, and you receive 808 specific votes of confidence. We're talking fated connections, sudden resources, unexpected community support. You are no longer pushing against the current. The momentum of spirit is just carrying you forward. Because of this alignment, our initial motivations totally evolve. That youthful, solitary questing we felt earlier, the search for abstract answers, well, it evolves into resonance. We stop looking for those abstract answers and start seeking a supportive community instead. We look for soulmates and peers who share our vibration of intent, turning what was once a lonely journey into a highly collaborative, shared experience. Toward the end of this mid-journey phase, the soul experiences the quickening. It's a profound sense of urgency driven by spirit. And you might actually feel this in your physical body as a higher vibration, a holy warmth, or just a very intense gut feeling. This is literally your physical flesh preparing for the final ascent. The soul steps fully into its sovereign command, no longer just defending itself, but actively ready to initiate the final phase of its evolution. Which brings us to a really profound question. What actually happens when the mission is fulfilled? Just imagine the profound peace of the moment your karmic ledger is perfectly, permanently balanced. What does it look like when the classroom of the soul school literally has nothing left to teach you? Well, let's transition to the final act of the soul's arc.
Section 5. The Glorious Return. The Conscious Ascent to Source.
This right here is the phase of true evolution. The spiritual warrior lays down the sword of defense and takes up the scepter of divine authority. The soul is no longer trying to gain new experiences. It's synthesizing everything it has learned into a permanent state of being. And this final integration involves 3 major transformations. First, the solar blueprint becomes your total reality. So you no longer strive toward your purpose, you literally are your purpose. Second, the memory body drops its record of pain to become a causal body, which is essentially pure light. And third, biological resurrection. This simply means the physical nervous system is fully recalibrated to host the highest vibration. You reach a state of permanent peace where you exist in the everyday world, but you are absolutely no longer of its dense frequency. The absolute climax of this entire architectural journey is the mystical marriage. The crystal cord connecting you to the lower realms dissolves. Your individual consciousness merges seamlessly with the universal presence. But importantly, you retain all the unique wisdom you gained through eons of everyday experience. You transition completely from the act of doing, trying to change the world, to a state of permanent being, where your very presence is the change itself. The return to the source isn't an ending, though. It's a graduation. The soul remains a spark of divine action in the eternal outbreath and inbreath of the universe. So, looking at the map we've covered today, from the descent into everyday clothes, through the messy crucible of karma, and all the way back up to sovereign grace, where will your journey take you next? Think about which layer you are currently navigating and let that spark your curiosity for your own path ahead. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questing.